Welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today here at Indigo Moon. You know, sometimes when we're in the middle of something, let's say you're in the middle of a group of friends and you're hanging with them all the time, it's hard for you to see certain things when you're in the midst of it, when you're basking in that same energy all the time. It's when you pull yourself out of the environment that things become a lot clearer. It's almost like when you look at a person's body language. Their body language speaks volumes. You know when a person is comfortable, you know when a person is uncomfortable. The energy speaks loud and clear. So, there's a child, there's a woman who continues to have the same dream over and over again. And in the dream, the child is mourning almost. The child is in pain. The child is pregnant. And people have separated themselves from this child. The family members are not around the child. People are poking fun. And certain people don't know who the father is. There's only certain individuals in that group who know who the actual father is. And it's a secret. Whenever there's a secret, you know that there's a bigger story being told. Now, in this dream, the woman is trying to wake up, and every time she wakes up and she falls back to sleep, she goes right back into the dream. She doesn't want to leave this child because she realizes that there's a bigger story being told. For this child to be feeling the way that the child is feeling, for the child to be separated from everyone, and it's embarrassing. It could be that she got pregnant maybe by a boy, and the parents don't approve of the boy, and she's really too young to have a child. But for some reason, it's a bigger picture. The bigger picture is there's an adult here that has impregnated this child. The morning, this child is feeling more than just feeling uncomfortable. First of all, when a woman is pregnant, she goes through her own changes, Her body is developing. And if a woman is pregnant and she's having insecurities, you better believe that that child is taking that in as well, the baby that's being carried within that person. And we already know when it's a child who's carrying a baby, first of all, she's already too young in this case. She's too young to be having a child. Her body is overpowering her in some cases. And you already know that her thoughts are not going to be balanced. Now, the woman doesn't want to wake up. She wants to stay with this child in the dream because she wants to help the child. And when the woman wakes up, she realizes that this is something that's really going on. This is someone's life. For some reason, she feels like the child is someone that she knows, but she doesn't know. She's trying to pick her brain to figure out who this child is, because the child has to be connected to someone that she knows, but she can't quite put her finger on it. So she goes throughout her day and she's worried about this child because she's saying for her to continue to have the same dream over and over again, something is wrong. Something is happening here, okay? Then she has another dream the following night. And in that dream, she's connected with a person who she once dated. And with the person that she once dated, he's asking her to be a part of something that she would never agree to. In the dream, the guy is asking her to participate in an activity with he and the person who's supposed to be his wife. And she doesn't get down like that. You know, whenever you find yourself crossing the path of a person who does not respect your boundaries, they do not agree with the things that you agree with, this means that really you already know you don't share certain things in common with this person, and you know when the person is trying to involve you in something that you feel is degrading, then that means you do not participate at all. That means you cut the cord, you sever that relationship because that is not for you. And if it's an inappropriate action that they're asking you to take, you already know that something's not right. You know, there's always going to be a person who might decide that they feel that their actions or their behavior or their thoughts are more important than yours. When you have a person who is not balanced, or should I say, who is disrespectful of your wishes, again, separation is needed. Now, nobody's trying to be a hard rock. Nobody's trying to, do anything. First of all, you don't want to do something that your intuitive nature is telling you is not right for you. And then when it's something that's inappropriate, then you know that something's not right again. Now, it's really funny. With these two different stories, there's a connection. For some reason, that child is connected to the same man who's asking for these types of actions to be had. We are going to cross the path of different people in our lives. And sometimes people, when they cross your path, it's a test for you to learn from that experience. And sometimes we might find ourselves caught up in things that are really not for us. But for you, in the self-love journey, when you know that something is not right for you, when you know that you have a person who you thought was a friend and is asking you to do things that are not right for you, and that person is not respectful of that, you have to cut the cord. Cut the situation out. Cut that person out that is not appropriate for you. But again, with these two dreams, somehow the connection is that male. Inside, internally, when you're receiving a message, that message is for you to try to figure out what is going on, figure out why it's happening, figure out what it is that you need to learn from the situation. Now, these are two separate dreams, but yet there is a connection. That connection, like I said, is that male. And if that male is the connection between both stories, what is that telling you? Especially if you're not in the environment of these individuals, God sometimes will give you a lesson that becomes a blessing because you've solved a problem. You know, when you have detectives, right? A lot of detectives would say, in a heartbeat, they'll say, I would rather work with this woman than this man. And the reason why that is because when women get caught up in stuff, they don't like a whole bunch of confusion. At least I know I don't. I like when something doesn't feel right, they begin to really look at the situation and evaluate what is really going on. And that woman will not sleep until she has solved that problem. Especially let it be in a personal relationship. Oh, you bet your bottom dollar she's going to figure it out, you know? Again, these things are happening for us, not to us, okay? For us to figure out the whole perspective, for us to figure out what is going wrong and how can we solve the problem. Now, that is a baby. That girl does not have the support of her parents. She probably doesn't have the support of her parents because something is definitely not right. I remember growing up, my father used to say to me, don't embarrass me. He'd say that so often that it became a regular word. We sometimes speak things into existence when we do that. If you're consistently saying the same thing over and over again to a person, it's almost like you're speaking it into existence. You are asking for that very thing that you say you don't want because you're constantly bringing it up. Now, by him saying that to me, it made me uncomfortable. And it also gave insight to, he must have made his parents, uncomfortable at one point in time. You know, we tend to be creatures of habit. And if we continue to reap the same habits, saying the wrong things, or should I say saying things consistently, speaking things into existence, when is it that we're going to learn from the mistakes that we're making? Our children need us. And if this child, this little girl, is uncomfortable and she's not being supported by her mother or her father, there's a problem here. If the father's not supporting, we have to ask why is it he's not being supportive of this girl. If the mother's not being supportive, you have to ask why is that. Now, you already know my story. When women are envious of their daughters, they don't support their daughters, that could be another problem. Sometimes a mother will be insecure and compete with her daughter. Now, I'm hoping that's not the case with this situation. But for some reason, it feels like it's landing that way. If you know the person, if you know this girl, and you can lend a hand or even be a support system, she needs a hug. Because in that dream, she would not let go. Now again, all of our communities are going through different experiences, especially now when so many people are not living as wealthy as they'd like to be, as rich as they'd like to be. I don't know how many people were on that line circling around the corner to play lotto the other day. And they say you got to be in it to win it. Well, a lot of people are choosing that route. But the bigger picture is that our people are suffering. People around the world are suffering. This is not just happening in your own backyard. We need to be praying during these times because with everything that's going on, prayer does not hurt, okay? So be blessed and, continue to pray. And thank you so much for joining us today. This is Indigo Moon. You have a good one.